Welcome to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers, newbies, and veterans, and everyone in between. We're hosted by M.A. Lee with the assistance of Remy Black and Edie Rooms, all from Writers Inc. books. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Each episode lasts as long as it takes to fix a quick dinner, grab a short commute, or take a brisk walk. Resources and links are in the show notes. Visit us at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Now, on to this week's episode. Hi, y'all. It's been a hectic week of the expected and unexpected again, with so many things swirling about that it's best to call this challenge episode Spinning Wheels or Tornadoes. Spinning wheels seems more appropriate because I did gain headway in all three project areas. It's a tornado though because, well, I will explain as I detail the week. Wednesday, June 19, started with a totally unexpected family thing. Lots of joy, but oof, I was tired by mid-afternoon. I had another scheduled activity for that day, and I began to think nothing would happen. But end of the day, with a bit of hoarded energy, I started the second proof for the first short story, which finished on Thursday after a morning of errands. So many corrections marred that printout that I cleaned up the document to generate a second printout. The story now stands at 6,786 words, only 127 new words added, but a lot jerked out. Quite a good bit of work done. I'm still very happy with this story. It has the harder edge I wanted for this collection. All happy and sassy, I started the second story for the collection. 4 pages in, about 1,000 words, and it wasn't right. It wasn't working. There was no magic in the flow. Down to the dumps I go. See, spinning wheel excitement and tornadic worry. I put the story on simmer. Friday is a usual family responsibility. At day's end, I had a second start at this second short story, but I stopped after 2 pages. The first attempt was better, even with its lack of magic. The first attempt was so much better that I tore up the second attempt. I rarely do this. Usually, some small bit will have a redeeming feature. Not so with this one. Back onto simmer the story went. I will do something else while the story broth becomes savory. After all, I have options of things to do, don't I? Which brings us to Saturday and time with family. Before the family time, I worked on the Defeat Writer's Block manuscript, the final chapter, and the appendix. I barely finished typing when work time ended and fun time began. When fun time ended, I resumed work time with the audio check, and a major goal is now achieved. The manuscript draft and the first proof of the series is done. All of the episode info then went into the podcast binder. All of the original, extremely rough transcripts went into a binder for the manuscript. All of the books consulted for the series returned to the bookshelf. In other words, a whole portion of my work desk is now cleaned off. What remains, the manuscript, is a neat little stack, each chapter an alternating color, and ready for proof 2. I'm in the proof plus stage of this book, finally. Part of proof plus is finalizing the blurb and tagline. I have a workable draft for that. It needs to be more than what was used for the podcast, but not much more. Another part is ensuring the cover design is in place. Back in mid-March, when I realized this podcast series could turn into a book, I tinkered with a cover design modeled on the Messy Miscellany cover, which is itself a takeoff on the covers for the Discovering Writing Craft series, like unto, but very different. A third part is planning the release for the book, and the promotions. We're not there yet. No way. The majority of Proof Plus is the actual proofing. I have a 3-stage proofing process. It won't catch everything. No one is 100% perfect, but it catches about 90% or more of the errors. On another day, I will detail my proofing credentials, but today is not that day. Here's my 3-stage proofing process. 3 passes through the manuscript. First is a read-through, front to back, which is more like a rapid revision. Any developmental or content edits occur in the rough draft stage of the story, so this is far past those kinds of edits. I do look for problems. In fiction, there are plot problems and character discrepancies, holes and weaknesses, needed descriptions, and more. This happened in the first proof of the first short story, when I added over 1,000 words. I probably added more than 2,000 or 2,500 words because I yanked out many paragraphs and then had to rewrite them. For nonfiction, I'm looking for logic problems, sequencing errors, cause and consequence slips. We're past that in this series. Basically, for this manuscript, the audio check slowed me down enough to catch any previously unnoticed grammar, usage, and punctuation or mechanical problems, for example, spelling or capitalization. The second proof will be reverse read. This takes words out of context. It is boring, so no sleepiness allowed. I have to be fresh. The third pass through the manuscript is a regular read-through. And believe it or not, I still find errors. Right now, though, the manuscript remains a neat little multicolored stack on the front corner of my desk. Sunday was a day off, more family time, and I didn't feel any guilt. Monday, though, Monday. I had a third start of the second short story, but it still isn't right. So I took a walk. When I came back to my desk, I ignored all my notes and resketched the major movements for the story. New problems to start, at the second movement, at the third. I'm not happy with the idea for the fourth problem. I have question marks all around it. I have 3 new twists and a glimmer of an idea for the fourth, final twist, and the end I want. It's there. It surprised me, so I think it will surprise the readers. Then I walked away from my desk again, brain tired this time, but happier than last Thursday and Friday and Monday morning. When I start the rough draft again for this story, I'll glance at my notes, but I won't adhere to them rigidly. I will let the story flow out on its own. This planning merely gives me a direction to aim for. We should feel content with our writing, even when it's a gut-wrenching or heart-tugging or angst-driven scene. When we complete it, we should be satisfied. It's when we struggle with the flow, when the ideas are not right, when we know something is wrong, that's when we're unhappy. Today, Tuesday, I still have the podcast episode to record and master, and build the episode, then convert it, write the promo copy, and craft the thumbnail, post everything. That's the rest of this afternoon. I write this after lunch. This morning, I completed proof 3 of the first short story. I checked the formatting and finalized the corrections. The story sits at 6,784 words and is ready to publish. Its cover is ready. All the covers for the 5 short stories are ready, as well as the cover for the collection and for the big bundle. The back cover copy, which is the blurbs for both books and the blurbs for the short stories, that's all done. Way back in early winter, before December, when I intended to start writing the short stories, I hit a morass of disruptions that wouldn't stop. I only managed to keep the weekly podcast going and a snippet of writing here and there. By the end of January, I thought I was in writer's block. And I think part of it, the opening part of it, was writer's block. I eventually worked out of it. And then we have the whole problem of the schedule disrupted. Ideas scattered everywhere, in shards actually, that have to be carefully gathered or the fragments will cut us. And we reform them into a beautiful multicolored window, stained glass, beauty from brokenness. What was it Kate Wilhelm said? On the other side of whatever we faced, she said, our writing is often richer, deeper, more complex. That was it, wasn't it? Deeper and more complex. Beautiful stained glass, a roseate round window of the lives we're trying to depict. That's better than a spinning wheel, much better than a tornado. As ever, to end this episode for our summer writing challenge, we have musings from Be a Writer, taken from the inspirational guidebook, Just Start Writing. Step 11. Be disciplined with writing. Every writer of fiction, nonfiction, prose, poetry, book, film, or play script needs discipline to succeed. Discipline begins with achievable writing goals. Think weekly, then divide into daily. Write your planned new words every day, no exceptions except injury or major events, celebrations like family time, and weddings and graduations and the like. When I became serious about publishing, it took me a whole year to change my mindset from hobby writer to pro writer. My journey became the 7 lessons shared in Think Like a Pro. I started with 1,000 words daily as my minimum word count. That's about 2 hours. Think 2 500-word essays. Practice allows the words to come faster. Since that first true writing year, I've upped my word count, and I celebrate every time I achieve more than my new minimum. You can break up your writing sessions into smaller increments. Few of us are lucky enough to indulge in long daily writing sessions. Be realistic. Consider your daily obligations. Pick an achievable goal, less than you truly want, such as 500 words. 500 words builds to 3,000 a week, which is 12,000 a month. In 5 months of steady writing at this level, 500 words per day for 6 days each week, you achieve a 60,000-word novel, or 2 novellas, or half of an epic. Don't fret when a bad week occurs. Every day is a new day. Every week is a new week. Creating a devotion to writing is essential. Maintaining that devotion is a constant struggle. The longer you are away, the harder it is to return. A lesson I have to learn every year. Writing every day makes it much easier to recover from the bad days and the bad weeks. Step 12. Be a tracker. Track what you do in each writing session. Track where you're going for each session. And don't forget to be willing to go off track. First, track your word counts for this week and for the month and for the season and the year. Keep a running word count to monitor success. Celebrate every major word count, 5,000 words, 10,000, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000 for the year, and more and more. You can easily achieve these numbers throughout the year. Maintaining this simple weekly word count will be the hardest thing you have done and will ever do. Maintaining it is crucial. The building word count of the manuscript helps you feel success. Fall off, hop back on. Any extra words make up for the falling off days, which will happen. Second, track your task. Track what occurred in each writing session by outlining it afterwards on a simple legal pad. This has a dual benefit. You don't get bored with the story by planning too much beforehand. You have a running list of events and basic info about scenes. When you finish, you can store this basic list, updated with the final manuscript, which is helpful when you need to return to the manuscript months or years after. Third, track your projects and the stages of those projects. You have goals that you want to accomplish. Divide those into the projects with tasks that are necessary to accomplish those goals. Keep up with what you plan to accomplish as well as what you have accomplished. Now the stages for your projects. Any writing can be divided into sketch, rough shape, draft, proof plus, publishing. Each of these stages also has its own incremental divisions for completion. Success occurs when you know where you are, where you've been, and where you're going. Nebulous thinking about the projects and stages and incremental divisions fosters an overwhelming, dizzy ride. Carousels aren't really dizzy rides when you're on them. Step 13. Be a friend to jot list. Drum roll, please. This is the last step so you can enjoy the writing dance. Of course, with all advice. Take it or leave it. What works for some will not work for others. However, end each session and begin each session with a jot list. The ending jot list will list what should occur next. Never write until your words have run dry. Write for your allotted time, then make notes about what will happen next. Begin each session by reviewing the ending jot list, then create a new list before you start writing. Handwriting this list of words and phrases seems to engage the brain more than typing it does. You may not be able to hit all of the ideas in the next writing session. Those ideas will then head into the next session, or will be held in reserve for the appropriate upcoming scene. Always transfer the ideas over. Never trash them. The impish creative muse will not be amused if you trash ideas that she's given you. Don't offend the muse. She's got prickly thorns. Those ending, beginning lists do not count in the daily words. When away from the writing session, going about your daily life, the impish muse will tickle your subconscious brain, and new ideas for your story will continue to develop. Until check-in number 5, write on. All through June and July, the Write Focus podcast turns its lens to the Summer Writing Challenge, 61 days of writing, as well as presenting all the other tasks in the writing business. In addition to tracking our progress on writing projects, we'll cover market copy, cover designers, promotional posts and newsletters, as well as audio projects. These are just a sample of the myriad additional tasks performed by every writer, indie or traditionally published. Posts covering the previous week's work will be recorded on Tuesday evenings and published on Wednesday mornings. Join us as we detail the accomplishments and failures for every writer's summer challenge. Thanks for listening to The Write Focus, a podcast for writers at all levels, hosted by Emma Lee from Writers Inc. Books, assisted by Remy Black and Edie Runes. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Music is licensed through Audio Jungle, called Background Music Loop. Its creator is Alexander Polishchuk, known on Audio Jungle as Plastic 3. The music comes in different iterations. Show notes and resource links for this and other episodes can be found at thewritefocus.blogspot.com. Write to us at linkbooks@aol.com when you have questions, comments, and speculations. We will try to answer you as quickly as possible. By the way, we will not mind your email address. That's rude. If you find value in our content, share with your writing friends or write a review. We're small beans here without the advertising budget of the big peeps, and you can make a difference. And whatever occurs, write on.